everyone. Hi, I thought I'd make this video because it's been quite some time since I made a video, something similar to this, and I thought let me make another one and see how it goes, and that way you can get to know me just a little bit more. Anyways, I was 12 when I started cooking in the kitchen. Cooking became my passion when I was kind of forced to go in the kitchen to cook for my father. And I actually made a bechamel sauce because I watched a lot of Julia Childs, and I really liked her. I liked her a lot. I loved her character, and learned later on this more about her. But I would watch her, and I just loved the way she cooked and how she brought the French cuisine to America, and she was just like my little icon. So I started creating some dishes. I always loved the arts, singing, drama, anything to do with arts. I enjoyed it. So to me, cooking was artistic. So it wasn't just about cooking. So I started creating some dishes, like that dish that I made for my father. It was fried chicken with some bechamel and a sprinkle of cayenne pepper, and I watched him how he ate it, and he ended up cleaning up his plate. I guess he thought about it. Anyways, both of my parents passed away in 2013. I recently had another member of the family who passed away, and that was my little Niño Chico. He was my baby. He made me happy. He had a character of his own. He wasn't a barker. He was unique. He was white and tan, and he was actually brought here like he was a border dog. He was on the border dog. And I will miss him dearly. He was very special to me. Out of all my dogs, I think I've had a couple of special dogs, but he was really super special, and I really enjoyed him, and I'm going to miss him dearly. Niño Chico, wherever you are, baby, I already miss you, sweetie. Anyway, so I started cooking at the young age of 12, and so I took some classes in high school. And I learned a little bit about cooking, and I watched others cook and can. My mom would cook and she would can, but there was something different about cooking. I always thought cooking had history to it, so I would definitely I always wondered where certain foods came. And one of my favorite classes was was a regional cuisine class, which I really loved because it had to do with how foods were brought into America from so many different ethnicities, and how it was incorporated and how it was infused with the Native Americans, which was pretty cool. And so food, if you don't know about history, just learn about the food. There's a lot of science to food as well, especially with baking. Recently I found a love for canning, and so first of all, I started off cooking Mexican food, and then I went into the European food, a little bit of the European, started baking breads, making pies in high school, and then later on started snooping around. I was like the little bumblebee looking to see how people would make their food, so and what kind of spices they would use. So I found out everybody was different. Recently I made a sweet pepper corn relish. It's one of my favorites. I added it to my quinoa salad. It has a little bit of sugar in there. It has a lot of sugar. But it just made my quinoa salad. It brought it to a whole different level, and I thought, yum! Then I made some plum sauce, and this is like a delicious plum sauce, and then I made plum ketchup, and I made plum jam jelly, and I thought, whoever has a duck, invite me over. I got the plum sauce. And then I also made a zucchini relish. I saw it online. So I started incorporating my own ingredients and my own zucchini and carrot relish. Actually won first place at the state fair. And I have actually, I've entered some of my canned goods many years ago, 16, 17 years ago, and I won some ribbons, and it was really fun. And recently I started doing that and entering my canned goods into the state fair, which it's kind of fun. It's really fun. I end up having a ball at the state fair. It's hot, but I have a ball at the state fair. So I made a roasted cherry tomato enchilada sauce, and I made all kinds of salsas. And this was like the most difficult, complex one, and that was the elderberry. And I think I have a couple clips where I go hunting for elderberries near the river. I mean, who does that? Well, I did, and I made a really nice jelly, and I found out it takes some time to set. So elderberries grow wild, and there's a controversy with elderberries, and bears love them, so why can't we love them? So there's a way to prepare them. It said that they can be toxic, so we cook them. So I cook them, but a lot of people eat them raw. So I mean, they're supposed to have some remedy elements to them, and well, I think food in general has remedy elements too. But the elderberries are very historical, and there is a lot to be said about elderberries that grow wild along the riverbanks and close to the river. If you see one big elderberry tree, know that there's going to be several elderberries around there. So I had to hunt these down, and so last year I went with a friend, and I know she was busy, and I kind of was waiting, but I went ahead and I got them. So anyways, that's elderberries, and oh, and I made a marinara sauce. You know, this is the first time I made a marinara sauce, and it has zucchini, cremini, and some eggplants, and I kind of cooked it, and then I just strained it. I used my immersion blender, and then I strained it. So I'm learning a lot of little neat cooking techniques. Canning is something. It's a survival skill that was brought in to America from after, I believe it was post-war. So, or maybe before, I don't know. But anyways, you can make breads in jars, which is, I think, is pretty cool. And those that live in very rural areas do a lot of canning, because it's only once a year. It's that there, I mean, one season a year, and that's usually the summer months, that you can grow your vegetables, and then you can have them throughout the whole year, which is nice. So I love canning. I just found a new love, canning. Anyways, well, canning, I didn't really connect with it until recently, and realized, watching a lot of videos, I thought, wow, I've made some apple butters. Found out I was making apple butter before. Let me show you. An apple butter has, this is an apple butter. That's the color of an apple butter. So I had no idea, but it's so good. I mean, it's cooked for several hours, and it takes a while to get to this color. So true apple butter makers know this is the right, correct color for an apple butter. These preserves are so good for it. Like if you have a cheese party, you can put your little preserves out, and they make great gifts, and which is what I do every year, and make them, and these are my gifts. So anyways, so back to why I started cooking, and I took those classes, and then I had, later on in life, I ended up with becoming a single parent, and it wasn't my intention, but I became a single parent, and after a couple marriages, and I had 4 children, and I thought, what am I going to do? And so well, I can cook. So I started off with like a 3-item menu, and I started off with burritos, tamales, and enchiladas. And then it kind of grew. And then people were asking me, well, Mary, can you make a lasagna? I said, sure, I can make anything. So it was like a gift, a talent that I had. And lately I've been doing a lot of whole foods. So a lot of raw foods, and some juicing, and I just, you know, as a kid, you can get me to eat a a carrot. Now I love them. And when you find the value of food, then it becomes part of your life. So, and how important it is to have even fermented foods. I had no idea, and it goes way back. So I'm learning a lot about foods and how they came in and what was healthy and what was not so healthy. Of course, sugar, that's kind of like, it's a touch and go thing. So, but there is some sugar in some of my canned goods and like in my jellies and jams, and you don't have to put sugar because fruit has its natural. I'm not there yet, but I will get there. I'm sure I will. But elderberries, you definitely have to put a sweetener in. Let's see, so I started out with Mama's Tamales catering because they were my mom's tamales and I admired my mother. And I started doing tamales. I started giving them away as samples, and then people were asking how much they were, and so I kind of grew from there. And so for almost 20 years I had Mama's Tamales catering. And after there was a crash of homes being lost, I happened to fall into that crash. I couldn't get anybody to help me. None of the banks would help me. They were too eager to take away my home because it had equity in it. Yes, I had built some equity into my home. And I miss my flower garden. I miss my roses. I miss my trees. And once in a while I'll go by and I was like, they tore up my house. But I watched the house being built from the ground up. And that makes a home even more special when you watch a home being built from the ground up. And yeah, I miss my home very much. I miss my family, my gatherings. I miss all that. But kids grow up and they move on and they live their lives, and that's the hard part of being a parent, a mother who loves her children dearly. So anyways, but it's a new chapter for me, and I'm hoping, I don't know where this is going to go, which direction it'll go. Hopefully it'll be a direction that was meant for me, and hoping to create some more recipes. If you look on, a lot of my recipes are some things that I made up and from learning from other recipe books and whatnot. So I love doing recipes. I love creating new recipes, and I enjoy doing these videos for my family, my friends, and I love cooking. And I'll show you one book. This is one cookbook that I did in one of my classes. Is one of my favorite classes. I mean, they were all good classes, but this one was very special, near and dear to me. It was during the time that my parents were very ill, and they were, I didn't have no idea that they weren't going to make it. So, who knew after a couple of years that they would not be here. And it was graded. Wow, what can I say? This is a treasure, and to find some regional American cuisine, you can't even grade it. So it was my American regional cuisine. I'm hoping that I can make it into a cookbook one day, and there's a lot of my history in there, my great-grandparents, and I have, as you know, you probably are my mama's nopalitos, and so my grandparents are in there, mama's in there, my father, he was from Louisiana, and Winfield area. He was born in Arkansas. And I always tell people I got this little white girl inside of me. And some people get offended, and that's true. My great-grandfather was Caucasian. He was white. So he had blonde hair, blue eyes. And I have my children in here. I have my cousins from Mexico, and I have my grandparents, who were obviously, they were African American, black, and my grandmother, she was a little mixed. So yeah, we're still trying to figure out what we were, but there's a lot of European in our bloodline. Anyways, here are some of my awards that I did years ago. And just to show you, I'm just kind of hoping that I think I should make several cookbooks. So many recipes. That was my garden at one time. I miss my own home. I really do. I miss having my own house. I really, really do. It's nothing like having your own house. This is my grandma I never met, and I was named after her. And that's Grandma Mary Metters, and she married my grandfather, Willie. And Willie Edwards. And Edwards is a name that was made up from my great-grandfather, my great-grandmother. My great-grandfather made up that name. So, this is when I had my chickens and my turkeys, and at one time I named one turkey Christmas and the other time was Thanksgiving, and grew to be 50 pounds, and yes, we enjoyed him immensely. Thanks for giving your life for Thanksgiving. So I did have a business for many years, and it was successful, and who knows what my next chapter will bring to me. So I thought maybe I'd share that with you, and hopefully it'll give you some insight, a little bit about me. Thanks for watching, and I have plenty of you too. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions that you would like to see, I'll do my best to post them. Alrighty. Thank you, and I'll talk to you soon. Alright.